In 15 years, a person, a profession, and even the entire tone of a genre can undergo significant transformations. However, for Blake Shelton, who has become a living icon in the world of country music, the past decade and a half has been more than simply a timeline. It has been a change. What it means to replay one of the most significant moments in his career is to recall not just a date or an award, but a cultural heartbeat in the history of modern country music. This is the moment when Blake Shelton officially passed the threshold from being a rising talent to a household name. When everything began to change. 2010. The year was 2010. Over the course of nearly a decade, Blake Shelton had already demonstrated his value in the Nashville music scene. His name was not yet synonymous with superstardom, despite the fact that songs such as Austin and Some Beach had achieved high chart positions. However, the mainstream world had not yet totally caught on to him, despite the fact that country radio was aware of him and fans appreciated him. With a straightforward tune and a powerful message, Honeybee brought about a change in all of that. Honeybee was not merely another love song when it was finally released to the public in 2011, but rather it was a craze. It was an unheard of accomplishment in the world of country music at the time, yet the single sold more than 2 million digital copies. A wedding staple, a summer song, and an immediate classic, it topped the Billboard Country Songs list for numerous weeks and became an instant classic within a short period of time. However, the popularity of the song was only a small part of something much larger. It was a perfect storm of timing, personality, and exposure that was responsible for Blake Shelton becoming the face of a new age in country music. The word that completely transformed everything. As things turned out, fate had a different plan in mind. Additionally, in the same year, Shelton became a coach for The Voice, a brand new reality show that was broadcast on NBC. It was impossible for anyone, including Blake, to have anticipated what it would turn out to be. At the beginning of the first season, which aired in 2011, Shelton introduced the United States of America to his uncensored humor, Oklahoma charm, and raw wit. He was no longer merely a country musician, he came to be known as the cowboy on television. Blake became the unexpected breakout star while he was sitting with other artists such as Adam Levine, Christina Aguilera, and CeeLo Green. The chemistry that he shared with Levine became a treasure trove for popular culture, giving rise to memes, interviews, and viral videos that brought Shelton into people's living rooms all throughout the United States. He was suddenly liked by fans who had never listened to country music before, and it wasn't because of the twangy guitars. Rather, it was because he was genuine. Blake had won the competition with his team member by the time the first year of The Voice came to a close, and the United States of America had discovered its newest favorite personality for the show. An album that came to define an entire generation. Shelton released Red River Blue, an album that encompassed everything his fans adored about him, including his warmth, humor, heartbreak, and home. This album was released in the wake of Honeybee's enormous popularity. The album, which was released in July of 2011, was extremely personalized. The emotional highs that were reached by songs such as God Gave Me You reverberated across the country music scene and beyond. Dave Barnes was the one who initially penned the song, but Blake took it and made it his own, dedicating it to Miranda Lambert, who was his wife at the time. Blake's first album to reach #1 on the Billboard 200 chart was released with the album's debut at #1. Ever since he arrived in Nashville with nothing but a guitar and a strong desire to succeed, he had been dreaming about this very moment happening. Not only did the CMA Awards and ACM prizes come pouring in, but also the plaudits from the critics. Furthermore, Blake had carved out something that no one else had: authenticity wrapped in accessibility. This was something that no one else possessed. Not only was he the neighbor next door, but he also happened to be a famous person. The journey from country boy to icon of culture. In retrospect, 15 years later, it is hard to believe that those occurrences were so well timed and coordinated with one another. Honeybee was more than simply a song. It was the bridge that connected country music to a mainstream audience that was unaware that it was missing out on anything. The humor that Shelton displayed on The Voice each week helped to humanize the country genre in a manner that very few other performers were able to do. No effort was made to polish or rehearse him. Blake, a tall, jovial, and slightly naughty man from Oklahoma who enjoyed beer, hunting, and his fans, was his name. He was a fan of his fans. It was because of this accessibility that he became something more significant, an ambassador for contemporary country music. By the year 2015, he had not only scored several platinum records, but he had also contributed to the transformation in how people viewed country musicians. They were no longer seen as isolated figures from the South. Rather, they were seen as relatable, media-savvy superstars who could sit beside pop artists and hold their share. Blake's emotional journey is described in A Personal Touch. There was, however, a man who was still working through his own personal development behind all of the renown. The decade of the 2010s was filled with both accomplishments and heartbreaks, including his highly publicized divorce from Miranda Lambert and his unexpected and wonderful romance with Gwen Stefani. Their connection, which was established on The Voice, would go on to reshape his public image in a significantly different way. In an instant, Blake was no longer merely the humorous cowboy. He had transformed into the romantic cowboy. His candor, his vulnerability, and the way he managed love after grief were all things that fans admired about him. Shelton said, in interviews conducted many years later, that the zenith of his career coincided with a period of profound introspection. Every single thing that took place during those years was intertwined with one another. The relationships, the music, and the spectacle at large. According to what he claimed in one of the retrospective features, it completely changed me. The honors, the records, and the long-term impact. It would be a mistake to overlook the figures, as they are capable of telling their own story. The sale of more than 30 million singles. Multiple awards for Male Vocalist of the Year from the Country Music Association. Winners of 8 episodes of The Voice with members of the team. The admittance into the Grand Ole Opry in 2010 was the realization of a lifetime desire. Across all platforms, billions of separate feeds. It is possible that the most significant aspect of Blake Shelton's legacy is not any record or trophy that he has received. It is his unwavering devotion. Through the course of 15 years, he has never been one to follow trends or lose his roots. He has always kept true to who he is. On one occasion, he made the following statement: "If you are not proud of where you are from, you will never understand where you are going." It is this mindset that has guided him through every stage of his path, from honky-tonk taverns to primetime television. Getting back in touch with his sources. The career of Shelton has now completed a full circle 15 years after it began. As soon as he left his position on The Voice in 2023, he went back to the things that got him started in the first place: music and the land. A greater portion of his time is spent in Oklahoma, where he tends to his ranch and composes new music that is reflective of simpler times. Fans were reminded of the reasons they fell in love with his voice in the first place by his single, Come Back Home, Red Dirt Memories. When it was released in 2024, his voice was honest, grounded, and true. His concertgoers have described the event as being reminiscent of the past. When Honeybee was initially released, they not only sing along with song, but they also recall exactly where they were at the time. The fact that it has become a time capsule of happiness, love, and youth is something that Blake is proud to carry with him. The ripple effect, the contemporary revival of country music. A ripple effect was also caused throughout the genre as a result of Shelton's breakthrough in 2010 to 2011. By doing so, it made it possible for musicians such as Luke Bryan, Thomas Rhett, and Kelsey Ballerini to combine humor, passion, and crossover appeal without the worry of selling out. His accomplishment demonstrated that country music could be a part of mainstream music without sacrificing its authenticity. Additionally, despite the fact that more recent voices are currently dominating country radio, Blake's presence is still keenly felt, both as a mentor and as an influence. The coaching that he provided on The Voice was important in launching careers that otherwise might not have been possible. After 15 years, what does it mean in today's world? To experience the big professional milestone that Blake Shelton achieved is to revisit an era in the history of music that was marked by hope and transformation. It was the moment when the genuineness of one guy was able to cut through the din. It was the time when the world realized that the United States of America was not only about trucks and heartache, but also about personal connection. In spite of the passage of 15 years, fans continue to talk about the significance of Honeybee or God Gave Me You to him or her. Those songs are now being played for their children by the generations of couples who dance to them at their weddings. It is not statistics or prizes that are the ultimate measure of legacy. Rather, it is the consistency of feeling that stands out. Instead of dwelling on his celebrity, Blake Shelton is concentrating on his thankfulness as he thinks back on the past 15 years of his life. This is what he had to say about it. "The best thing I ever did was to remain true to who I am. Since the only thing that remains once the music stops playing, the laughter stops, and the cameras stop rolling, that is the only thing that will endure." It's possible that this is the reason why his milestone from 2010 to 2011 is still relevant today. It wasn't enough to simply make it huge, it was much more important to make it a reality. Honeybee, The Voice, and the cowboy who brought a whole new sparkle to Nashville are all celebrating their 15th year together. Here's to them all. Not only did Blake Shelton achieve a significant career milestone, but he also constructed a bridge that spans the passage of time, laughter, and love that continues to be strong even today.